All right, going live in three, two, one. Well, this is the Working Title Experience, episode number 30, and I have Rachel on again this evening. How are you
Hello.
doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. Of course, I said evening. It could be anywhere in the world where anyone is
Mm.
watching this. So morning, evening. We have a very wide and international audience here. So not to discriminate against anybody or leave anyone out, I should say. So,
There you go.
how are things going with you? Anything new and exciting going on that people would like to know?
Oh gosh, let's see. When was the last time I was on? Last time I was on was what, the 6th?
I
Since then I have attended a wedding, worked on a short film, and gone to Atlanta for wedding dress shopping. So I've kind of been bouncing all over the place.
Atlanta's interesting. Are you in Georgia?
No, I'm in New York.
Oh, okay,
My
okay.
best friend lives in Atlanta and she's getting married next year, so we went wedding dress shopping. It was
That's
very
a pretty long.
interesting.
That's a pretty long distance to go for a wedding dress.
Yeah, yeah. Well, she lives in Atlanta, so
Oh, I see. Okay.
yeah, yeah. It wasn't just, "Let's go here for a dress." It was, she lives there, so
Gotcha. Gotcha.
mhm.
So, well, let's before we went live, I was asking you if you had if you'd like to have a title. Have we have a title for the show that we're doing here? I'm using
Mhm.
the generic working title experience, and you said you like to discuss that with our viewers. So, what?
Yes, yes. Well, the reason for that is because I had been talking about it with my sister. She listens to a lot of stuff. She listened to our last show and everything, and we've been talking about it for a while, and we couldn't quite think of anything. And a while ago, I had made myself a just a Tumblr page, and I noticed a lot of people calling any kind of thing they wrote down or any ideas. Everybody called it spilled ink and used the hashtag spilled ink so that everybody can, see different like poems or bits of writing or stories or books they were working on. And so my sister and I had this idea to make a bookshop slash coffee place, and call it soaking up spilled ink. So that was the only thing that kept coming back to us. And we were talking about it like we talk about movies on this show, we talk about video games, we talk about kind of everything. And we also thought that, well, ideas usually start out by being an idea that you have that you just kind of jot down, and that's usually what spilled ink is it an idea that you have that you write down and you try and make into something bigger. So I think we're going to stick with soaking up spilled ink, and I just wanted to see what you thought about that and the story behind it and see what everybody else thinks as well.
Soaking up spilled ink. How about we call it spilled ink? Would that be better, or do you think soaking up spilled ink would have more of a meaning or to that?
Well, like I said, this spilled ink is the hashtag that people used for whatever they're musing. And I always like to collect books and collect stories and things like that. So that's kind of why I went with soaking up spilled ink. And it was not like as flashy as spilled ink because
Okay.
I've tried to write myself. It doesn't always go well, but I like, reading everything else that people have done or helping people with their creative endeavors. So I always liked that.
That's a good idea. In fact, I take back what I said because now because as far as what we're doing, it makes it sound more original because you're taking a title and then adding to it instead of adding taking a phrase, or it's almost like a meme of you're adding to something almost.
Yeah, yeah. I
So yeah, I
those
think that'd be better. It makes it more yours than just using the word spelling. So okay, you were
Mhm.
gonna I didn't mean to interrupt you. You were gonna say
No,
something
no,
else?
no. I no. That was just kind of what we were thinking and, how that came about, and I just thought it would be fun to share as well
Okay.
with
I
everybody
just
instead of, just kinda throwing it out there. I want people to understand where it's coming from, you know?
Yeah, the one thing I just want to say, on the technical level, it seems like your microphone might be a little
Oh,
low.
oh,
Is there
duh.
if you could,
Sorry, I turned off the volume and I didn't hear you. I turned off the volume to look at something and, I realized, "Oh, no, the volume's only in my head, it's not gonna be in my microphone." Sorry, go ahead and say what you said before.
oh, it's kind of funny because what I was saying is your volume level is kind of low. That's I was wondering if you might be able to
Oh,
bring
okay, hold on a second.
if
Let's
you could bring up
see
if
if
you have a
I
gain or
can,
something, or maybe it's
um,
just a little lower than normal for an average show. So,
let's see. I don't know if that'll do anything.
oh yeah, that sounds better. That sounds good.
Okay, okay.
Oh, excellent. That's very good.
Oh,
Yeah, it
good.
sounds pretty. Yeah, yes, much better, much better. Okay,
Okay,
cool,
perfect.
cool. So we had our question from last week. It looks like we had a pretty decent response. I'll go ahead and bring that up. Give me 1 second here. The
Okay.
question was, "What kind of traveler are you?" And here we go. Bring it up right here. We got is that 1,400 responses, our votes so far, and 10
Mhm.
comments in there.
Oh,
So we had
very cool.
said leave a comment, leave a description by leaving a comment. He said luxury traveler, staying at
Mm,
high end hotels, etc. Was overwhelmingly the one that came in. 73%
yes.
with, let's see, 12% after that was budget traveler, staying at hotel. I'm sorry, what was that? Host,
Hostels.
hostels,
Hostels.
hostels. Excuse me,
Mhm.
I'm not still not familiar. Still not.
Yeah.
I don't use that word very much. So that's why you have to excuse me on that
Yeah,
one.
yeah. Or
Looks like
you
we have a tie. Oh, go ahead. You gotta say something.
oh, no, most people think of Hostel and they think of that movie, that horror movie, which I haven't actually seen. I just know that it is a horror movie with the title Hostel.
Oh, I haven't seen that one. Is that
Mhm.
when did that come out?
I don't know, it was a while ago, I'm sure.
I
Let's
I
see.
there's I you're gonna hate me with for this because a lot of people I'm gonna mention the TV show Lost, and on the
Mm,
TV show Lost they used to call some of the people that lived on the island the hostels. So that's what
yeah,
I
yeah.
remembered. So
Different kinda hostel, but yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, the
Uh,
Hostel is looks like 2005 it came out,
oh, okay. Was it
you
pretty
know?
good?
I haven't seen it because I don't do horror movies,
Oh,
but,
okay.
it looks like 3 people are backpacking and staying in hostels, and they find themselves in a murder hostel, basically, just people trying to kill them, which, the usual for a horror movie.
The I'm not a big horror fan myself, except for this is kind of it might sound kind of interesting, maybe not, but
Mm.
the 1973 movie Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Uh, I saw that
Okay.
several years ago, and I actually liked. I remember watching it, and then within the past 5 years, I watched it again. And it's actually pretty good. I don't
Hmm,
like I said, I don't like horror movies, which is weird.
yeah,
I actually like this one. This is one I actually like. Um,
interesting.
it's like a very much like a B movie. It's so you can tell they did it on a there wasn't much they didn't have much money, a lot of money to make it. But
Mhm.
it's I like I said,
I mean,
I
it's a
turned away from the
classic. I
what's that?
haven't watched it, but I know it's a classic.
Yeah, it's surprisingly good. So, and like I said, I don't watch them. I'm surprised, to hear myself say that a horror movie is really good, but it is. So I don't watch anytime I
Mhm.
see a horror movie, I just my eyes roll over like, "Oh, goodness." And I don't
Yeah.
wanna watch that. But this one's like, it's actually good. At the time in my life when I saw it several years ago,
Mhm.
I was going through a phase where I was like, let me try some horror movies. So I watched it. And then recently I watched it again. It was like I was like, wow. So
Hmm,
um so anyway, it's just a recommendation if someone wants to watch a horror movie, it's a
there you
pretty
go.
decent one. So,
So the only horror movie I actually did like was Cabin in the Woods, by that was a Joss Whedon movie. That was good. And then I like Hitchcock movies. That's
mm,
that's that's my level of horror, if you want to
what's
call it that. I'm more like psychological thriller, I guess Hitchcock is, but not like the old-fashioned psychological thriller where it's kind of chill.
uh-huh. So have you seen Psycho?
Yes, yes. The main actor there is actually from my town.
Oh, what's I know it's on the tip of my
Anthony
tongue.
Hop
Yes,
no, is that Anthony Hopkins? Is that the right?
Anthony
Yeah,
Anthony
Anthony's
Anthony
hmm,
Perkins.
Perkins. Yes,
Yes.
Anthony Perkins. Yes.
He shares a name with a local, radio guy in the DC market, so that's why I remember the radio guy. I remember the radio guy's name, that's I remember his
Mm.
name. Um,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
the, what was I gonna say? When I was a child, my mother they showed the shower scene. I've never seen the movie.
Oh,
I saw
yeah.
bits and pieces, but they showed the
Oh,
shower
it's
scene,
a good one. Mhm.
and my mother told me to get it. I was like 5 years old. She said, "Get out of the room. I don't want you to see this."
Yeah, since it's black and white, the way they got her to scream so well is they turned the water ice cold on her. They used chocolate syrup for her blood, and it was also the first time they ever showed a flushing toilet on screen because that was always considered just gauche, and they wouldn't have done it before, but was all new on all sorts of fronts there.
That's interesting. A flushing toilet. I did a radio
Mhm.
show from 1992 to 1994 with my
Mm.
best friend on a public access radio station, and we played a flushing toilet sound, and the guy who was running the station at the time got really upset just because we did that. So
Oh, yeah. That's funny.
that's interesting though about the first time on a toilet. So the first time uh,
Mhm.
on a I guess on an official like a production, a grand production like that, or a movie. How would you
Yeah,
phrase
I
that?
think it was the first time it was seen on screen, I think.
Wow, interesting. So that movie not only has that going, being a thriller and a horror movie of sorts, it's also got that going for it now. So
Yeah,
first,
yeah. Yeah, it was the first film in which you see and hear the toilet being flushed.
well, like I said, I've never seen the movie. So is the toilet being flushed during the scene, the shower scene, or what?
It's around the same time, yeah.
Okay, okay.
Mhm.
So well,
Yeah,
it's
and like I said, her blood is chocolate syrup.
yeah, I did not know that either. But
Mm.
I have seen that scene but that's about all
Yeah.
I've seen of the movie. And then Anthony Perkins plays he doesn't he like dress up like his mother?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. It's he's slowly going a little bit crazy. His mother, um him and his mother were very close, and so when she took a lover, he did not take that very well, and he killed his mother and her lover. And so he and kept her corpse and he was taking care of it because his hobby is taxidermy. So he was taking care of his mother's corpse and kind of talking to it. And the more he was talking to it and talking for it, it just kind of kept slowly taking over his mind. And anytime he had any kind of feelings of attraction for anybody, the mother side would come out and scold him for it, and eventually he killed several people because in the movie it shows they pull out not just her car from the mud pit, several other people, and yeah, and at the end the mother takes over for him because he can't handle it. And the very last scene of the movie is fantastic. It's Norman, he's just sitting in the police station, and in his head he's like, I'm just a harmless old lady. They can't do anything to me. Just you watch them try. And then there's a fly that lands on his hand. He says, I'm not even going to swat that fly. But it's all in the mother's voice at this point. And then it ends with him just like dead stare into the camera. It's really powerful and great movie.
Hmm. As far as any other Alfred Hitchcock movies, would you recommend any?
Ooh, yeah. Oh, Hitchcock. I mean, obviously, we're finding out a lot of Hollywood people were terrible people, but he's still a creative genius. The Birds is always a good one.
Okay, I
One of
have
my other favorites. Oh, you
wait,
know
yeah,
Birds?
yeah, okay, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I wanted to
No,
say
no, go.
I have seen The Birds, but it was a
Mm,
long time ago. So,
mhm.
who's the I know the actor,
Tippi
uh,
Hedren is the actress there.
and then the guy who was in it was, oh, I can't remember his name, but
Um,
he's
yeah,
an Australian actor. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but yeah, but it's but go ahead and talk about it. I'll look that up while you're talking. Go ahead.
yeah, it's, Rod Taylor.
Yeah, Rod
Who
Taylor, exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
because he was in one of my favorite movies called The Time Machine from 1960, but yeah, go
Oh, okay, yeah. So, yeah, no, that was a really good one, although, he Hitchcock kind of derailed Tippi Hedren's career after that because she wouldn't do what he wanted, so, that's not the brightest spot. One of his more underrated films, I think, is a film called Rope. It's fabulous, absolutely fabulous. It's all done like it's supposed to be in one shot,
Hmm,
and it stars, Jamie Stewart, and then, 2 other younger guys, Farley Granger and John Dahl, and the 2 younger guys, they kill somebody just because the one guy wants to see if they can, and then they have a dinner party and have the guy stuffed in the trunk that they served dinner from, and Jimmy Stewart's kind of slowly figuring it out, and everybody's trying to freak out because this guy, he hasn't shown up. He was supposed to be at the party. Have you seen him? Have you seen him? And like one of the younger guys is kind of losing his mind that people are going to figure it out. They shouldn't have done this. This was terrible. And the other guy's like, we're better than him. We got away with murder, this kind of thing. And it's so powerful. And it's all in one apartment in like one steady shot. If they cut the camera, it's only like behind somebody's back or something like that. It's all one fluid shot. And that's difficult to do nowadays. And in 1948, it was really, really hard to do it with how big the camera was and how they had to move the sets around the cameras. And it's a really fascinating thriller. It's fantastic.
That is cool. The movie, the video that Weird Al Yankovic did, that was a parody of Happy. It was called Tacky. Did something like that. The entire video is just one shot with no, they didn't cut it or edit at all. It's just, and the camera moves they go from like the top of a building through the building and out the bottom and onto the ground level below. It's just really cool.
Yeah.
That's really neat. I find that kind of stuff really fascinating.
Yeah.
Especially for a movie. I mean, the entire movie must be hard work. So.
Yeah, you can see Rope there in the IMDb. That one it's up there with Psycho and North by Northwest and Vertigo. A more recent movie that did that was Birdman. That was one of the more recent ones that did that kind of thing where, they didn't actually cut from scene to scene. It was all one long shot. And that was really good. It's really interesting when people think, when people are creative enough to make that happen and all of the stuff that goes into it.
But before you go too far, we got a message from Eric. Rachel's looking very, very well fed.
Yes, she is. She's a little. She steals the food from the other cats. I can't stop her. So the other cat's kind of skinny, and she's on the bigger side. And I feed them the same, but she'll chase him off a little bit and eat the rest of his. He likes to go out, and the other cat we have, he likes to go out and hunt mice and rabbits and things, and he'll leave them all over the place.
Rabbits.
Oh yeah, he takes down things that are twice his size. I have no idea how he manages it, especially since he's he's like 18 now. He's an old man cat, and he takes down animals twice his size.
Wow. My cat lived. My oldest cat lived till he was 19. He died 2 years ago. So.
Oh yeah.
And he was skinny for the past 4 or 5 years of his life, but they couldn't find anything really majorly wrong with him. And all of a sudden, one of his organs just finally failed one day, and he just collapsed pretty quickly within a few days. So.
Yeah, that's sad.
So hopefully your cat lives longer. I lives a long life too,
yes. We're always hoping so. Actually, let's see if I wrong button.
So the as far as Alfred Hitchcock, is it true that he always had a cameo appearance in his movies?
Yes, okay. He has usually an appearance. You either see him or his shadow in every movie. Yeah, he's usually wandering around there. You can see like his profile is pretty distinct, or he is in every single movie. I think he's getting on a bus in The Birds. In Psycho, I think he's one of the people that are walking across the street as she's driving out. In Rope, I can't remember where he is in Rope, to be honest.
Just to say, Eric responded, he said, "Haha, my cat's now a fatty too."
Yeah.
Another person that does cameos like that is Stan Lee. He's passed on. He used to do not every comic book movie, but most of them. So
right, yeah. It looks like no, that's Rear Window. I can't tell. I have it. I'm looking, and it looks like it's just his outline out the window, because in Rope, like, it's only in one room and he's not one of the party members, so it looks like you can see him out the window at one point. But
okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not 100% sure. Rear Window, also a favorite of ours. It's a good one as well. Yeah.
So before we go too far, let's get back to our question.
Finish the question. Yeah, we kind of drift off topic here.
So we got down to the next one down was 6% with a tie with backpacker and your choice, and finally 3% with only long haul traveler, tractor trailer driver,
Mm,
etc. So
yeah.
uh, let's look at our responses here. I'm gonna sort these by newest first. So get back here. Okay. Cardboard has cardboard box traveler. Cardboard box.
I
Let's see.
hate traveling.
Traveling. Let's see.
Cyclist. I mean, you can still be a cyclist, but you got to sleep somewhere.
Uh, I'm a time traveler.
Oh, there you go. Again, you can time travel, but you still got to sleep somewhere, unless, I mean, your TARDIS has enough room.
Uh, uh, I'm dead serious, but I am a VIP traveler.
Luxury to the fullest, I'm sure. Mid-range, sure, sure.
Mid-range traveler, yes. I would like to be a luxury traveler. Little smile face. I like house traveler. I like house traveler. What a
I can't imagine on that one.
yeah, okay. Budget traveler. Like yeah, don't know the language there. Why would I go on a vacation to live sooner than
Poorer. It says
poor?
poorer than I
Poor.
am.
Thank
I
you.
think we covered that last time because I could be poor and looking at my own wall, or I could be poor and looking out on a beautiful vista I've never seen before.
Okay. Yeah, so the rest of them we've already read that, so we don't have to reread
Yeah, I
those.
think so. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a good response.
Yeah.
I um I find it interesting that the response is so high for luxury
Mm,
traveler.
yeah.
I would think it would be much lower, to be honest. Um,
Guess
I
people
guess
like to
we
splurge on vacations.
I guess, and our just we have a very rich audience, so
Mm.
so
Yeah.
well, that's good. Well, thanks everybody for participating in the poll. So,
Mhm.
what did you have anything else you wanted to add to that?
I don't think so. I think we kind of went over all of it.
Okay. No, did you come up with a question for this week?
Um, hmm.
Could ask him maybe what's your favorite kind of horror movie, maybe, or something to that
Yeah,
effect.
what
Since we've
I
been
was
talking about
thinking
that.
that. Let's try that. I mean, it is almost Halloween. Well, I
Okay.
mean,
See
close enough
what is
anyway.
what? Halloween. What'd you say?
Yeah, I mean, was saying it's close to Halloween. So, what is your favorite
Yeah,
horror genre? I guess are there different
horror
types? I think
genre.
there are. I think there are different types. Let's see.
Horror genre.
I don't
Okay.
know.
One second.
Let's see.
Horror genre. There we go. Okay. What is your I forgot to put a word favorite in there? FAVORI. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, let's
So
see. There's a few different types. I imagine something like there's like the Saw movies, which are kind of like gory stuff, which definitely don't like. Psychological thriller is my kind of stuff, but let's see.
gore, like
Mhm.
we'll put an example like Saw.
Yeah.
Oops. Yeah, Saw movies. What's that? Okay.
Psychological thriller,
Oh, you would pick a
like
word out of
Hitchcock. Yeah. Oh.
see, the
Oh. Yes. Why?
psycho,
Ooh.
okay, okay. You got it? Okay, hold on. Okay.
PSYCO.
Hold on a second. Okay, hold on. It's like psycho. I'm just gonna get up here. Oh, I'm gonna just copy this. Okay, you go ahead. Um, I
Yeah.
okay, psycho. I got it first.
Psychological thriller.
Logical. I got it there.
Mm, let's
That's all
see.
right.
Looks right.
Okay, good. There we go. Okay,
Hmm.
we'll put Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. Well, is psychological thriller and suspense kind of the same? I think they're a little bit different.
Yeah.
Well,
See.
here's the internet's telling me comedy horror is a thing, which
I was thinking about that too because there are
comedy
some
horror is
comedy.
good.
I just saw
Yeah.
Shaun of the
Shaun,
Dead. Yeah.
Shaun of the Dead's a great movie.
So okay, but
Mm,
comedy horror.
mm-hmm. Let's see.
Oh, there's another movie I'm watching right now. I've seen it before, but Warm Bodies is kind of like a
Oh,
parody.
yeah. Yep. That's a
So,
good one too. Um, is Hot Fuzz kind of a horror comedy?
I've not seen that one, so I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Oh no, okay.
There you go. Sean spelled right.
Hmm.
In the movie, it's spelled Saun, right?
Or maybe S
I think it is.
S
One second.
H A U N.
I don't think there's an H in that. Oh,
Yeah,
it
I
is.
just
You're
looked it up.
right.
Yep, S
You're right.
H A
Okay,
U N.
gotcha.
Shauna.
Okay, I
Great
couldn't remember.
movie.
Okay,
Although I
it was a
love Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg, so it's not surprising.
there you go. Alrighty. Anything else?
Let's see. Let's have one more. I don't know. Classic horror? I don't know. Like, I guess classic horror would be kind of like Michael.
Michael. Which one's Michael? I'm not familiar with
Michael
that
is
one.
the one with Jamie Lee Curtis running away from him for like 20 years. She just made a whole new one, which God bless her. Um, Michael Myers, classic
Michael Myers.
horror, I
Oh,
guess.
okay. Classic horror. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Can you
Uh,
imagine? Oh, they're called Halloween. The movies are the Halloween movies. Those are like, I think, kind of classic horror movies.
Halloween. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
what was the other one you said was Michael Myers? I forget what they call it.
Yeah, they're the Halloween movies, but it's
He's in it.
the killer in them is Michael Myers is the
Oh,
name.
it's okay. I've not seen those movies. Sorry, that's why I
Yeah.
know of them. I knew Michael Myers. I forgot who was that. It was Halloween. Okay, I
Yeah,
do know
Halloween.
he wears a William Shatner mask in those, right?
Yeah, yep.
Okay, that's about all I
Uh-huh.
know. So, any other
Yeah.
examples for that one you could think of?
Um, I don't know, it's like Freddy Krueger and, Friday the
Nightmare.
13th, those kind of things, I think, fall
Okay.
in a little bit of a different category than the other ones. Because like
Okay.
Saw is mostly like gore and grossness, psychological thriller, Alfred Hitchcock, that's definitely its own thing. And I think classic horror would be, Halloween or Nightmare on Elm Street, those kind of things.
Okay. And for the last one, let's why don't we make it they can their own choice. They can choose
Yeah,
their own.
yeah, yeah.
There you go. Choice.
Especially since there are probably horror aficionados that are like, "How do you not know this subgenre of horror?" I don't know.
Okay. So let's make sure it looks good. Comedy horror. Kind
Mhm.
of maybe. Okay. So look good.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna post it here. See what we got. All right.
There you go.
So we'll come back to that one.
Alright.
Cool.
Sounds good.
So this evening you wanted to talk about what did you want to talk? Go ahead and explain what you wanted to talk about this evening, because I don't have the email that you sent me in front of me.
Well, I was thinking we could talk about either books or we can talk about, Ted Lasso, which is a show on Apple TV. I think I mentioned it last time
Ted
because
Lasso. What? Yeah, go ahead and
Ted
describe
Lasso.
that.
It's oh gosh, it's so good. It's about a guy from Kansas who gets picked to go to, England to coach a soccer team. He's coached only American football before, and the main point of the show is that he is just a genuinely good guy. He's happy, he's positive, he's nice, and it shouldn't be headline news that the main character of a TV show is nice, but it's just so refreshing to have someone that genuinely nice on in a television show, Most people are trying to be edgy or trying to be cool or I don't know, but Ted Lasso, he's just this genuine nice guy and it warms your heart for every episode that you watch the show. I don't want to give too much of it away, especially since you've never seen it before and I don't know how many people listening have seen it before, but it's definitely worth the watch. I'm not a huge fan of the fact that it's on Apple TV, yet another streaming service we need to buy, but I guess they have to make money to make shows, so
I honestly I did my browser keeps on. Sorry, I'm trying to bring this up here. Give me this. I know I don't have it on screen there, but I'm trying to bring up the link for it. For some reason, my browser keeps on blocking it off. Hold on a second.
hmm.
So Apple TV, I didn't even know that there were. To be honest, I don't even pay attention to all these different streaming services.
Oh, yeah,
Here,
there's so many.
finally bring it up here. Here it is. Okay, there we go.
There
So,
he is. Yep, and
so
it's, Jason Sudeikis there, yeah.
and this movie came out. I'm sorry, TV show came out last year. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. They
Uh,
just aired the season 2 finale, like, 2 weeks ago.
Okay. So as far what can you tell what as far as like I mean you said you didn't want to give too much away, but I
Mm.
mean, could you give like a basic synopsis, more of a basic synopsis of what?
Yeah, so s let's see, how do I it's kinda starts out with this woman, she divorces her husband, and she gets control of the football league, which is, the football, like the soccer. I'm probably gonna get in trouble for saying soccer because, in England, they definitely don't call it soccer, and that is a taboo word over there, but,
Is it really? Really?
yeah. Oh, yeah, no, God, no, it's not soccer, it's football,
Oh
and
goodness.
they call our football American football always. Yeah,
Right.
they definitely don't like the word soccer.
I knew
But
that it was I knew it was
mhm,
different, but I didn't know that it was taboo. I didn't know it was like,
yeah,
like
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, people
Is
people in Europe are like, "Ugh, no, it's football."
do they is it like it's almost like fighting words, like they wanna pummel you or something? You
A little bit, yeah, a little bit,
know?
especially since soccer is so much more, it's more, European thing, we don't I wouldn't even be able to name any American soccer teams, but, I know a bunch of football teams, American football teams.
Right.
Yeah. So, this woman, she is in the middle of a terrible divorce with her husband. She takes a football club, and she hires Ted to come in and kind of take over the team and bring it in a whole new direction. And he was living in Kansas, coaching American football, and he decides to go and try this out. And it's just kind of about him learning the ins and outs of soccer, but it really isn't I mean, it's hard to say that soccer is the main point without it being the main point because I hate soccer. I don't like playing it. I don't like watching it. It's very boring, and I still love Ted Lasso. I still remember in, like elementary school standing on a soccer field thinking, "Why am I here?" But even so, I still love Ted Lasso. So people that don't even like sports, you can still like this show. Um and the one of the first things you really get about the show is that he is just such this genuine, sweet guy. He's helpful and he's kind to everybody, even when people are cruel to him, he's even more kind to them, and it just melts through people. And it's just such a powerful thing to see on screen when so many shows are about just anything and everything, and there's nobody I know of in any other show that has that genuine kind of personality, and he's not doing it, for his own personal gain, he's not doing it to, like, get something back, he's just genuinely happy and kind, and it's just so refreshing to see on screen, and, so it's kinda him, getting acclimated with, um, the UK and trying to figure out how he fits into all of this and figuring out how to improve a game that he has no idea about. And it's really just wonderful to watch all of the characters grow with his influence.
Okay. It's a is it is it a comedy at all, or is it more of a
Yeah,
drama?
it's a comedy. It is a comedy. It's kind of one of those comedies, like it has heartfelt moments. So I wouldn't say like it's definitely not a well, it's classified there on IMDb as a comedy drama, and I guess that kinda works because it's definitely on the lighthearted side, but they do go through some real issues, the woman going through the divorce. Ted himself struggles with, some, anxiety and things like that, and they don't try to hide it or anything like that. They always put it out that these are things that happen, and then you have to deal with them, you can't just ignore it. So a lot of people are really pleased with the way that they're dealing with his anxiety issues, or there's other people on the team that are dealing with their own issues. And it doesn't try and hide it or say, it's not okay, you're gonna fix this by yourself or whatever. They really deal with how it's the healthy and unhealthy ways people deal with mental health issues. And it's not afraid to do that, which is really nice to see.
Hmm, okay. Well, the I would. as far as the, let's say, ask you this, the pilot episode, would you say it's compelling to watch? Because I'll base a TV show lately
Mhm.
on the pilot episode. If it's not compelling enough to watch, I usually tend not to watch any other episodes.
No, I think the pilot is really compelling 'cause, my sister and I was with my sister when I first started watching it, and we all sat down to watch it. We had been having a few drinks and everything, we really knew nothing at all about the show. I knew that it was starring Jason Sudeikis with a mustache, and that was the only thing I knew, and she didn't even know that. We just knew people had been talking about how great this show is. So we were like, "Alright, well, let's try one," and we busted through 2 seasons in, like, the 5 days that I was there. And and it's just it's kinda like taking a breath of fresh air with his personality, you know? Like, I don't know, it just really was heartwarming in all of the ways that makes you wanna watch it over and over again to get that feeling.
Hmm. Okay. So well, okay. I guess at that point, it's probably best if we, well, I don't know if you want to give any more away from it. I give it away for them.
I know, I'm trying to give more detail without giving too much out. You know?
As no, you said it was just the second season just ended. It just wrapped up. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. Yeah, they do the episode a week release, which I like and I don't like because, I have the tendency to wanna binge right through it, but then at the end of a binge, I'm always like, "I'm sad that it's over." So with this, at least I don't have a choice. I have to pace myself.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Like, I want it all right now, but at the same time, like, just pace yourself and it'll last longer.
Now as far as like when they do that, are they consistent? Like I remember when I used to
Mhm.
watch TV shows on a more regular basis. What got really annoying is that they put the show on hold for sometimes sometimes up to a year, maybe even longer than
Right.
a year. And now this is only 2 seasons. Have they ever done anything like that where they make you wait for extremely long periods of time before you come back?
Since I only started it, like the beginning of this month, I
Oh,
don't
okay, you
know.
wouldn't know.
Yeah, I
Okay.
wouldn't know. A lot of, I mean, like it says, it started in 2020 and went to, it looks like it's on the yearly track, which is pretty normal. I think they might only be doing 3 seasons. I think that was what they had set for it. I think the producer is Bill Lawrence. He's the same guy that created Scrubs.
Okay.
And he has a definitive idea of what they want to do with the show, which I also respect that because I like shows that know where they're going beginning to end. They don't drag it out longer than they need to. They are able to tell the story they want to tell. And like sometimes like yeah, you want a little bit more, but at the same time, you don't want supernatural to happen. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the TV show Supernatural.
No, I'm not. I'm not familiar with that
Mhm.
one. What
So, the original creator of Supernatural had 5 seasons planned. He had it all thought out, written out, and the first 5 seasons are fantastic. After that, he was like, "Alright, so I'm done. This was the story I wanted to tell, and we've told it." And the WB was like, "We are making boatloads of money off this show, so we're just gonna keep it going." And it went for another 5 seasons and just got worse and worse and worse over time just because it didn't have a direction. They were just keeping it going just to keep it going.
Yeah.
So I it got ruined for me, and a lot of people I think felt that way. I mean, some people didn't, some people did. I'm definitely one of the ones that felt like it got ruined. So I really like when shows take that initiative of, "No, this is the story we wanna tell, and we're not gonna go further just for the sake of money."
Gotcha. In a similar way, did you ever see the TV series Battlestar Galactica from 10 years
Yes.
ago?
Yes.
For me, the miniseries, the first season and the second season were really good, but then the third
Mhm.
season started to flounder, and then the fourth season for me was just God, I couldn't stand it. I hated it. So,
Yeah, I
um,
remember well the first few seasons. I remember kind of how it ended, but, like, in between that, I was like, "Alright."
and what happened was, I don't know if you know, but the writers, David Icke and Ron Moore, these
Mhm.
showrunners, they were big fans of the original show from 1978, and what they did was
Mhm.
they rewrote the first season all the way till they met the Pegasus was basically a rewrite of the original
Mhm.
show. and then once they ran out of their ideas, they were on their own. That's when the show started to. You could see that it didn't really go any. It started to flounder, and
Oh,
by the
that's
fourth,
unfortunate.
yeah, when they ran out of material to use from the original show. That's when it just seemed to go its own way. It didn't really go very well. So, in my opinion, some people like all the way
Wow.
to the end. So, I'm always speaking for myself when I say that. So, um,
Mhm.
but it just for me the fourth season is just I was like a show that I was so addicted to, and the fourth season I
Yeah.
stuck with it, and I'm like, oh, this is so awful. I'm like, oh, so angry because I.
Yeah, yeah. The other show that happened to, but I don't think it was the fault of anybody. It was hit by the writers' strike. Was Heroes.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, I did see that. Yeah, I watched that, and yeah, I watched that on DVD. I actually bought the
Mm.
DVD series for that one. I did
Like
not watch it
season
brand
one or
new.
and two were fantastic, but season three, I was like, "What are they doing?" And season four, I was like, No, 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 no."
I hear a lot of people say that the first season is the best, but after that it goes
Mhm.
downhill. Did you watch
Yeah.
the follow-up, Heroes
I
of Hero?
tried, but it didn't catch me like the first one did.
It's very forgettable, for me.
Yeah.
Yes, I watched the entire series of Heroes, and then I watched the whatever the follow-up was, and,
Mhm.
Heroes Reborn or whatever it was. But yeah, the problem with Heroes was when, yeah, it was like they
Yeah, they
would.
got hit by the writers' strike, it was, I think.
Yeah, and then well, as the story itself, I was gonna say is like it seemed like they would create a story and they wouldn't wrap up, they wouldn't follow
Yeah,
up
but
on
they
anything.
didn't do anything with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they just left a lot of threads dangling. But again, I think that was a lot because of the writers' strike.
Mhm.
They
Eh,
they
eh,
got hit they got hit with that.
that was
That
like
definitely.
2008 or so when that happened, the writer's
Yeah,
strike.
something like that, yeah. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like, they changed characters and they made them different, and it was kinda like, "This is so weird. Why in the world would you do this?"
Mhm. Mm. And I tried to watch the show again because I have the DVDs, I just couldn't get into it
Mhm.
again, but,
Yeah.
it was a fun show, and, at least the first part of it was pretty good, so,
Yeah,
um,
yeah. Fun
I
while it
will say
lasted.
I it was the interesting thing is I didn't realize that it was a network television. It was, like, on NBC when it first aired, right? Is
Oh,
that correct?
yeah, yep.
And I watched it, I thought it was a made for cable TV show. I didn't realize that how they changed the way TV. I don't watch regular television anymore. So I was like, "Oh, this." I was surprised to see there was actually a network television show because it just seems
Mhm.
so different. But if I watched, I haven't watched commercial television in so long, and I turned it on, and it was like, "Wow, everything is so radically different the way they do it now, and the commercials are different." I was, like, so blown away how things because I just don't watch it anymore, so,
Yeah, yeah.
the same thing happened back in the late '90s. I hadn't watched TV for a while, and I watched, some show, and there was, like even that was, like, a major transition. It was, like, there was, like, stuff being splashed on the screen all the time, during the commercials, and I was like, "Whoa, what is going on here?" So, it's the second time that's happened to me. It's, like, I step away from commercial television, and everything's different when I come back. It's so weird, so
Yeah. If you want something to be the same every time you go back to it, watch a soap opera.
so, yeah. That's what Battlestar Galactica my dad used to call this a soap opera when he watched
Oh,
it.
yeah, yeah. I can jump back into the soap operas and, ah, once you watch 1 or 2 of them, you're like, "Okay, I know everything that's going on now."
I don't think I watched I may have watched a little some soap operas when I was younger. I never really got into them though. So,
Well,
uh,
yeah. Always watched with my grandmother and then my mom and everything. Every once in a while, I see them, and it's just like, "Oof, this is real bad."
so now as far as let's see, we had Ted Lasso. What was the other? It was Scrubs. You brought up Scrubs.
Yeah, yeah.
So how I know it's kind of getting off topic a little bit. I've heard of Scrubs. I think my dad was a fan of that show, but I'm not sure. I
I
never watched
mean,
it.
it's a good one.
I know of it. I know it was pretty popular, right?
Yeah, I mean, you haven't watched a lot here, so.
No, yeah, you're right. I think I might have said this before. If it occurred between the year 1997 and 2013, I was pretty much focused so much on my career that I didn't watch a lot of TV shows and movies. So,
Mhm.
so it brings, what did it come out during that time period?
Yeah, wow,
Let's,
it's probably a lot older than I want it to be.
let's take a look.
Yeah.
Scrubs. Uh, yeah. Oh,
2001.
yes.
Oof.
My
God, that is
browser's
way older than I
frozen.
want it to be.
Let me bring up here. 1 second. I'm using an old browser. That's why it's doing this. Sorry.
Mm.
Let's see if we can get to go up this time.
Yeah, 2001 to 2010, but
Here we go.
season 9 is not to be spoken of
Oh,
in
okay.
the same
The
breath.
Yeah, so that's why. Yeah, that's why I'm not from. That's why, because it falls right within that time frame I told you about. So
Yeah.
TV was, with the exception of like say Battlestar Galactica
Mhm.
and Lost. I didn't watch pretty much anything else. So those two shows I was severely addicted to. Everything else
Okay.
I didn't know. And originally, I didn't have cable for a while, so in order to watch the miniseries for Battlestar Galactica, my dad actually recorded on old VHS and gave me a copy of it, and I got hooked on it. And when I bought the house I'm in now, I just watched it. I had cable then. That's why, because just so I could watch that show, nothing else. So that's how addicted I got to that show. I hate to admit to that.
Well, I mean, it happens. Uh, I watched um I watched a little bit of Lost. We were hooked on it for a little while and then I kind of fell off on it. Battlestar
Yeah.
Galactica, I came too late, so I did binge it on like Netflix or
Oh, okay.
something. It might have been pre-Netflix, honestly, that I watched it. I'm not sure.
When you talk about Lost,
Mhm.
that's a show where it was, the writers kept on saying they had everything planned out, and it was very obvious by the end they had no plan on where the show was going. So, and there's a guy who has I think it's like a 10-hour review of the TV show Lost. It's on YouTube.
Wow.
And I've actually listened to it. I don't sit there and watch it. I just listen to it like in the background while I'm doing something else. I've actually listened to the whole thing, and he does a great analysis of the show. And I tend to agree with almost everything he has to say about it.
Hmm.
Basically, he tears the whole show apart. He tells how much of a big fan he was, like I was, and then he gives his analysis as to why the show did this. He shows the contradictions. He shows it's unbelievable. This guy just really goes into it really well. So
Hmm. Hmm.
amazing how much work he put into that show.
Yeah,
Because
10 hours. Gee whiz.
and not only that, it was like he edited the scenes in there, like he had to put all the,
Oh, wow.
so he put a lot of work into it.
Yeah.
If all you have to do is go on YouTube, it's still on YouTube. You just type in Lost review or something. It's one of the first ones that comes up.
Mhm.
It's not all 10 hours in one video. It's like it's spread out over
Mhm.
like 8 videos, I think. So,
Super in depth, huh?
but
Wow. Yeah, I'm sure 10 hours kinda would have to be.
but
Yeah. Um, One of the, things about Scrubs is that it's still hailed as one of the most medically accurate television shows out there. I mean,
oh,
between all of, like, the Grey's Anatomy and, like, Chicago Med and all those crazy shows, ER, Scrubs is one of the most medically accurate television shows.
does that include, what was that show from the 80s? St. Elsewhere?
I haven't heard that one compared specifically, but I do know that Scrubs is generally held as the most medically accurate television show. Not that there
Interesting.
aren't, inaccuracies, it's just one of the most accurate that they have.
I'm trying to imagine how something could be really inaccurate to the point where, I mean, I don't know. I'm just trying to imagine.
Well, I mean, there are TV shows where, there's just so much like ER and Grey's Anatomy. There's so many crazy things that happen all the time. And Scrubs is mostly just about their lives and stuff. So there's not a lot of crazy medical things that are happening all around them, which are what is usually the fantastical part of those shows. There's a whole like YouTube culture of doctors watching, medical things on TV. And they're kind of funny to watch, to be honest. And But usually they say Scrubs is the most medically accurate because it's not fantastical about the surgeries and all the crazy stuff they're doing. It's more about, being a doctor instead of them doing all these crazy insane procedures. It's, how you actually rise up through the medical career from starting as an intern or as a medical student to an intern to a what is
Oh,
it? Medical student, intern, resident attending, I think is the way it works up, and just
Oh,
kinda yeah,
s-
it's it
oh,
goes through fairly accurately, apparently.
so what I'm going oh about I'm realizing so it's not just the medical procedures, but rather the whole idea of how the hospital or how the whole function of that
Yeah.
what's the right word I'm looking for that
Yeah,
the
the whole culture of the hospital.
yeah, okay, I guess I was trying to think of how to put that. Yeah, how that works. That's interesting. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So, it's about their lives and they have to do a lot of work. They have to do a lot of like scut work and nothing that's super fancy, mostly like, you know, cleaning patients or implanting catheters, especially when they're first starting out. They don't get to do anything like crazy, and only one of them is a surgeon, and he mostly, holds things for people in the first season or 2 because he doesn't get to do the surgeries himself because that's not realistic. That's not what you do when you first start out as a surgical intern. And it's all to the more realistic point, and it was always funny, and, it's just, like I said, it's a good show if you ever wanna put something on. I think Scrubs is one of the ones I've rewatched several times along with New Girl and How I Met Your Mother and now Ted Lasso and Schitt's
Uh-huh.
Creek and those kind of things, yeah.
Talking about medical shows, did you ever watch the TV show MASH from the 70s and 80s?
I've seen some episodes, I haven't, like, seen the whole thing.
Okay, I watched that show from beginning to end, and
Mm,
the very first season they had a black doctor on the
mhm.
show, and they wrote him off the show, and the excuse that they gave, which was pretty lame, was that there were no supposedly there were no black doctors in any of the MASH units during Korea, so that's why they wrote him off the show.
Oh, that's great, great.
Yeah, I,
That's what you
yeah.
want.
He was a regular character on the show too, so
Right.
it was kind of I don't think nowadays that would be tolerated very much, but
No, gosh, no, gosh, no, no, no.
but it was the show itself was very they were not it was not a racist show at all,
Right,
but
right, but
it was just
yeah.
it was kind of a lame excuse to because
Yeah.
the show itself is about a fictional mash unit that didn't exist anyway. So what does it
Right.
matter if
Right.
what race the people are in the show? It is
Right.
so. But that
Mhm.
show had well, it started off as a comedy and became more of a drama comedy as it went
Right, right.
and so and the accuracy of that show as it went along seemed mostly accurate in some ways, but I'm not a I'm a history buff when it comes to certain things, like more like I say I
Mhm.
think I've said this like the Native American history and the American Civil
Right.
War. So I'm not as familiar with the Korean War, but from what
Mhm.
I've seen, the TV show they were always out in the middle of the woods.
Right.
Um, that's Korea actually has towns and cities as well, so it's like it's kind of implying that there's nothing but trees and woods in Korea. That's not exactly accurate there. So
Right, right.
it's kind of funny that way. But and the reason for that is because where they filmed it was actually in a park in north of Los Angeles. So,
Right.
but actually, if you go out there, I don't know if this is kind of interesting. A lot
Mhm.
of the sets are still out there. They're out in you can actually go out to this way because it's so remote. They just left out there. Like some of the vehicles are still out there, the structures that they filmed on. So people like to go out there and just look at the stuff. I don't know
That's
if they
cool.
do anything with it, but anyway, it's
Yeah.
just like it's like watching shows is like they're trying to be accurate, but obviously they're only limited to as what they can do with the where they're shooting it and all that stuff. So
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
I found that interesting about Scrubs. Now is Scrubs a what is it take place at a real hospital or what kind of
Yeah, actually. So the first season was filmed on studio sets, and then they actually bought an old hospital and filmed in the hospital for the rest of the show. Um, and obviously, like they had some ambulances and stuff there, but they had to put up signs everywhere, and people still kept trying to come in like it was an actual hospital. Like there are signs
oh
up
my
everywhere,
goodness.
not a real hospital. Please continue to such and such a place. But there were still people that kept coming to the hospital to try and use it as a hospital. So yes, it was a real hospital that they filmed in for most of it. Actually, I'm not sure if it was the whole first season or if it was just the pilot that they didn't film in a hospital. But most of the show was filmed in the same hospital.
Wow, that's interesting. I mean, what would happen if like someone came with a gunshot wound or something?
I'm not sure. They might have had, um an ambulance on standby just in case. I don't think anything that crazy happened, but I do know that some people did try and come into the hospital just thinking it was a real hospital. Because it used to be, but it had been, um, in disuse before they bought it for the show.
I would think if they were doing the filming at nighttime, they could probably cover the lights up to make it so it looks like it's not a real building. But during the daytime, I guess it'd be much harder to.
Yeah, yeah, especially if they're all filming inside, there's just cars in the parking lot, you know?
Wow, that's pretty weird. As far as the anything else, was it? I mean, you talked about the culture being
Mhm.
realistic, and I assume all the operational procedures were realistic. And was
Yeah.
there anything else about the show that was really captivating in that way? Or I don't know what the
Well,
right
I
word
mean,
is.
the whole thing follows JD. He's the main character there, and the way he learns how to be a doctor and learns from the people around him. And the most notable thing about Scrubs, aside from all that, is JD has these fantasies in his head that we get to see all the time. So it like busts out into crazy fantasies of him doing crazy things. Like you can see even in the pictures that you have up here, the one on the right there is him and Turk in like crazy dress, but he has these fantasies like crazy. So that
Which
was
picture?
another main. I'm sorry?
Wh- Which picture? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, not here.
Oh, oh,
When you
where,
were in the before, you see, like, that one.
this
Yeah,
right
you
here?
have it in your mouth, yeah.
Okay, okay, gotcha. So.
Yes. So, like, he has a bunch of different fantasies that go and kinda drift off in his head all the time. And at first, nobody mentions it, and then every once in a while, they're like, "Dude, you're having a fantasy," and, like, he's, drifting away, and his head always turns up into the right. You can thinking. And they after a while, they're just like, "That's gotta be noticeable to everybody," so they kinda start writing it in that people make fun of him for doing it. Um,
Is it similar?
and
You said you watched Battlestar Galactica. Is it similar to how Gaius Baltar in the show is constantly talking to Head Six, the Cylon in his head, and like people would
I
look at him like
mean,
it's strange.
kind of, but, he doesn't usually say anything out loud. He just kinda looks up and off into the distance, and just kind of imagines it, and we see everything that he's imagining, and then, you know but, that's always funny or ridiculous. But they also have, like, really deep moments in this show too, obviously, like, people are gonna have bad days in a hospital, and they portray that really powerfully, I think.
Hmm. Now, as far as the show, did it seem like the writers knew what they were doing? Did it flow as far as like season to season? Did it seem to have a nice? Obviously, it ended in 2010. Did it have a nice final episode? Did everything wrap up pretty well, or how
So,
would you?
sort of, yes. So there were 8 seasons, and technically, there were 9 seasons, but nobody really acknowledges season 9. Season 8 was the ending to Scrubs. Season 9 was technically supposed to be a new show, like a spin-off show. It was not supposed to be season 9 of Scrubs. It was supposed to be its own thing with a hint of Scrubs. But they wouldn't let Bill Lawrence do that. They were like, "Let's just make it season 9 of Scrubs." It tanked really hard on that criteria. If it would have been able to stand on its own as a spinoff, it would have had a better shot. But the network was like, no, 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 just make it season 9 of Scrubs. So it really tanked pretty hard on that kind of a thing. And people
Hmm.
that are Scrubs fans don't really like to talk about season 9 because Scrubs ended with season 8. It ended. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That was the end. And the fact that the network wouldn't let Bill Lawrence make a spin-off on its own, they were just like, "Nah, make it season 9." It really kinda tanked itself that way.
Really, that bad, huh? So was it like watching a completely different show at that point?
Yeah, it really was, and that was what his intention was. There were supposed to be, like, 1 or 2 characters from Scrubs, but, like, JD wasn't there, several of the other main characters weren't there, and they weren't supposed to be. It was supposed to be its own spin-off show, and by calling it Scrubs season 9, people were expecting what they had been getting for the last 8 years, but it wasn't, and it never was intended to be. And so the fact that that happened that way, it really didn't work.
Gotcha.
I mean,
Gotcha.
if it was a standalone thing, I think it would have made it so much better because I didn't hate it, but it's not Scrubs, you know?
Yeah. It's different than so basically it was so different. It's not like when they retool a show just to make it seem different, to try to gain an audience because the show is failing. The show is doing great. They just wanted to do a new show, and
Yeah.
I get you. Yeah, okay. Because I've seen shows I've watched in the past, and it's like the show is just not gaining the audience, so they'll retool it and change some of the characters around. But it'll act like it's so different. It's like watching a completely different show. This was not the case. Is basically what you're saying. So I
Right.
get
No, Scrubs was doing great. Everybody, was loving it. They loved the ending, and I guess the network didn't expect a new show to get the same following. They wanted the same following Scrubs had. So they were trying to just be like, no, we'll make it Scrubs season 9. It'll work great. And it really didn't because it wasn't Scrubs. It just wasn't. And Bill Lawrence hadn't intended it to be Scrubs. He intended it to be its own new thing. Spun
it.
off with the same kind of vibe, but new and different. And that's not what he was able to get through to the network, so it didn't work.
Gotcha. Now, there's another show. I'll bring this up. Which sounds kind of similar, where it actually did work in a way. I think it's
Mhm.
this is the nerdy part of me coming out.
Mm.
The TV show Stargate SG-1. Have you ever seen that show?
Mhm.
The
No, I know
the
of it though.
Okay, the first 8 seasons, the last episode was supposed to be the final season, and what they did was they were going to come out with a new show, and it was supposedly going to be called Stargate Command or something. I don't remember. And
Mhm.
instead of doing that, they just basically carried the show on for 2 more seasons instead of making the new show. And so basically, only a handful of the characters came back, and eventually they brought more of the characters back. But it actually worked though. I guess because the show was pretty popular, and they kind of
Hmm.
kept so a lot of the main characters are gone, new characters are brought in, kind of like what you're saying. There's only like a couple of them left, and then it still worked though. So
Hmm.
it's probably because it's a nerd following. The nerds really love it. So that's not, I'm not being insulting to nerds. It's just
No, no, yeah.
it's definitely a very nerdy show. So not like other science fiction shows, not like Lost or I mean, not like yeah, Lost was just kind of that's more of a drama, and
I mean, it's
Battlestar
still
Galactica.
science fiction or
Yeah,
fantasy. I don't know which way you want to go with that one.
what Lost?
Yeah, I think it's more science fiction than fantasy.
It's and Battlestar Galactica, which is obviously science fiction, but
Yeah.
as though it's not that level of science fiction. It's more of a definitely on the more nerdy scale. So maybe that's why.
Mhm.
So, but
I don't
they
know.
yeah, I have seen it work, but that's interesting that it didn't work. So as far as
Mhm.
is there any I mean when they wrapped up the final season, did the actual ninth season, I should say, did
Mhm.
they was it did it leave like did they have a closing or did they just decide oh that's it they just
No, it was just kind of that was it.
oh so
Yeah, I don't it wasn't really memorable, so I don't quite remember. I think it was just kind of like, well, that we tried. Kind of a that was it.
gotcha. So I guess was there any other I can actually bring it up here. Any other shows that spun off aside from that? The
I I
Scrubs
don't think
interns.
yeah, that was what it was supposed to be. Scrubs Interns was the what it was supposed to be. It was
Oh,
season 9, that's technically. So yeah, it's got its own IMDb page, but you know. So like these were the interns. Is this like a web thing?
that's a good question. It was
Interesting.
2009. I don't think so. 2009. I don't think so.
Yeah.
They were. That's kind of. I mean,
2009 would have been season
there's
8.
yeah, that's
Huh.
interesting. Oh, season. Let me bring up here. Here's the season
Yeah,
name.
season 1.
Season.
So these interns were the people that were like part of the new show that in season 9. It was supposed to kind of spin off on them. Sunny introduces herself. No, I guess this is part of season 8. I don't actually know this.
Interesting.
So it's kind of, I think it's season 8, but from the intern's perspective, I guess.
That's interesting. I'm trying to
rebrand. Season 8 rebranded, I guess, is what you want to call it. Is what it kind of looks like based on the descriptions here.
Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to find a link there. I can't see how long. It doesn't look like there's not much here. It almost
it looks like it says 12 episodes, but at the same time, like, no, it kind of looks like Scrubs season 8, but from their perspective.
Okay.
Yeah. Sunny's video diary. Oof, that's rough.
What's that? Sunny's video diary.
Yeah, Sunny introduces herself to Katie, Denise, and Ed and Howie in her video diary, and the new interns sit through Ted and Dr. Cox's orientation. Sunny is one of the interns from season 8.
Where are you reading that? Are you reading off the screen here?
Yeah.
This one? Was it this first one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I couldn't figure out where you're reading that from. Okay, gotcha. Okay. All right. Well,
weird.
I assume that so basically what your recommendation would be watch seasons 1 through 8 and just forget 9 even exists.
Yeah, exactly. That's what most people will tell you if you like Scrubs.
Gotcha. Now, like I said, I think my dad liked this show, but I have to ask him again if he did. So
yeah, no, it's good.
Now, I will say there's another show that kind of talking about Battlestar Galactica, the 1978 Battlestar Galactica, which is what the remake was based on. They had a second season, and the fans of the true show, the so-called true fans of the show, I should say, don't like to acknowledge that the second season exists. They act like it's the second season was actually called Galactica 1980. So, and what happens is in that one they finally get to Earth, and it's really cheap. It's on a really low budget, and the production, the stories are really bad. The acting is really wooden, and so the people that call themselves the fans of the show say that doesn't count as the official shows. They don't want to acknowledge that it exists. Kind of like how you're saying season 9 is that bad.
Yeah, so, yeah. But like I said, not like it's terrible. It's just it's not Scrubs. It's not Scrubs.
Gotcha. So it's a good. It's decent, but it's just not. It didn't follow along the right. So the right way. Interesting. All right. Well, is there any other shows that would fall into that? I'm just kind of curious.
Shows that have
I'm trying
stuff you shouldn't acknowledge. I don't know. I mean, we talked about Heroes. That was another one that stuck out in my head that just got worse and worse. And
well, let's bring that up.
Stuff like that. That always reminds me of from there's an episode of The Big Bang Theory where Sheldon's talking about TV shows because one of the shows that he likes is not getting picked up for another season, and he's trying to figure out why. And he says something. Buffy went on in comics. Firefly got a movie, Serenity, to wrap it up. Heroes slowly lowered the quality over 4 seasons until we were glad that it was over. And I always just love that analogy because it's very true.
How come it's not even? That's weird. Why does it not show up? You're on Earth
because you're not spelling heroes right. Heroes.
Sorry. Of course, I'm using the wrong. Okay, you know what? Sorry, I'm using this old crappy browser. Here's a newer browser. Let me try this one. So won't do that again. imdb.co.
Well, you missed. You missed the
imdb.com. I don't know what though. I don't want to know what that was. Heroes. There we go. There we go. Finally. Okay.
There it is. Yeah. Oh, did it go away? No, it's just loading. Okay.
There we go. Yeah.
There it is.
Oh, this is the screen. Oh, I can't see. Wait, hold on. I got to log in. I can't see it right now. I can't read it.
Yeah.
No, come on. There we go. Okay, there now we can read it.
There it is. Now you can see all of it.
Okay. So I need to know what that. For some reason, I need to know that. What was that? Heroes Reborn. That's what it was called.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
TV miniseries. It's counted as interesting.
Yeah. And the woman who played the young, well, she was I guess she was a teenager. She got
Hmm.
killed off. And they didn't bring her back. I can remember the one that was the cheerleader.
Oh
So
gosh, I don't remember at this point.
yeah, I don't
Yeah,
remember either.
something about the apocalypse and the one guy went. I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, and that was
That guy.
2015 to
Zachary.
2016. That was over six to, oh my goodness,
Well,
over
it's counted
5
as a
years
TV
ago.
miniseries, so it looks like it only had one season.
Oh yeah, it did.
Doesn't
Yeah, it
even
was only
say
one season.
TV series. It's just TV miniseries. I guess
Exactly.
they
I
meant to
didn't.
like wrap it all up, but I just didn't care enough about it by that time. So,
Yeah, I did watch this all the way through, but
uh-huh.
it was very forgettable. But yeah, it's yeah, yeah, it's one of those things that when I would watch a show. That's why I told you, like, if the pilot doesn't catch me anymore,
Hmm.
if it's not good enough, I won't stick with the show. So
Yeah.
because I've been I've watched too many shows in the past where the pilot was bad, and I say, okay, I'll stick with it, and I end up sticking with it, and I end up watching the entire show to the very end, and it's like, why did I do that? I wasted my entire time. So now I've gotten to a point where it's like, if the pilot is not that good, I just don't even care. I just go away, run
Yeah.
away. I don't even bother anymore. So that's why I have to. That's why I was asking if the pilot would be any good. Would it entice me to watch
Yeah.
it?
I think Scrubs has a pretty strong pilot. Ted Lasso has a pretty strong pilot. Um,
So Ted Lasso and Scrubs are two shows you would definitely recommend.
oh, for
Um,
sure.
yeah, and so we can. But what we could do is maybe if we want, we could actually review an episode. Would you like to do that in an upcoming show?
Sure.
Okay, I'd have to
Totally
watch.
be down for
I'm
that.
sure I can get the show. It's not a big deal. I should be able to find it. So, which one
Hmm.
would you like to do? Ted Lasso, since that's more current.
Yeah, sure. That'd be cool.
Okay, okay, let's do that. So, all righty.
Yeah.
Well, let's go back. Let's go back to our question from earlier. See what kind of
Mm.
response we got here. It's not too bad. It's not. We're getting up there in the votes. Only one comment so far.
Hmm.
Uh, 71 votes so far. What is your favorite horror genre?
Looks like
And we got yes.
classic is winning here.
Yes, 66% classic horror.
Mm.
Next, we got 11%, which is gore,
Mm.
10% with psychological thriller, 8% with comedy horror, and 4% with your choice.
Mm.
So, but we only got one person left a comment, and that was uh,
Michael Myers for the win.
yes.
Which means I'm assuming they voted classic horror. And nobody that has picked your choice has left a comment.
Yeah, they just want to they just want to they just don't feel like leaving, so they'll leave. I'm sure they'll leave a lot more. So these, on average, we always lately the average response is about 1,400 or 1,500 votes. So during the summertime it was a lot more. It seems that these are getting a little less as months go on. We were getting closer to like 5 to 6,000 votes during the summertime.
Mm.
So I guess people are not in tune with watching reading comments as much there. So reading questions, I should say. So
Yeah, yeah.
all right. So classic horror. And you're
Mm.
not even a horror fan. So
No, no, very much not.
well, actually, well, you are. I'm sorry, it's psychological thriller.
Psychological thriller, Alfred
Right.
Hitchcock. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that
So
kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah. So
Yeah,
um,
that's my wheelhouse there. I don't do like any of the Saw movies or anything. The only like I've seen the Halloween movies and stuff, but I don't like them at all. It's not fun. It's not fun for me. I don't know. I know they
that's
just did a new Halloween movie with Jamie Lee Curtis still, and like that almost tempts me to see it because I can't believe she's been doing this her entire life. She's literally been running away from Michael Myers since she was a little girl. I have a lot of respect for her doing that.
she was well. She only did like she didn't do that many of them though, right? She only did like the first one and like the most recent one. Did she do other ones as
Shit,
well?
I think she did. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, because that's
Let's.
that well, what I remember hearing about her, is that when the what made her a famous movie star was that, but I mean, what made her a famous dramatic actor, or to get out of that stereotype, I guess, of being in a horror movie, was the movie Trading Places. Have you ever seen that?
Yes. Yeah.
And
I didn't.
and that was
She was in that.
Yeah, she was the prostitute in that.
Oh, wow.
With Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy. She was
Yeah,
the
yeah,
prostitute
yeah.
that helps Eddie. Not Eddie Murphy. Dan Aykroyd's character. She helps him
Right.
get back on his feet again. But yeah, that was the movie from what I understand that made her more of a respectable actor because before that she was just considered. They had to like almost to get her on that movie. Apparently the studio execs or something didn't want her on there because everyone thought she was just a horror movie person. She wasn't really considered taken
Oh.
seriously. And then after that movie, she was taken very seriously, and she got a lot more roles
Mm,
after. So
yeah.
I found that pretty interesting. I do know when that movie came out, I was turned off by the fact that her hair was so short. So at the time, because I don't think very many women wore their hair that short during that period of time. So it was like I was like, oh, that doesn't look cute at all. So so
Wow.
whatever. It's like so I don't know. I was just a kid. So
Interesting. Thing I think of her from is a fish called Wanda. Is Trading Places older than A Fish Called Wanda?
yeah, Trading Places came out in '83, I believe. So
Okay, yeah, 83, and The Fish Called Wanda is 88.
yeah,
Hmm.
yes.
Interesting. I didn't realize that about her.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring it up real quick and again. Yeah, there it
Yeah.
is. Yeah. Yeah, there was when I saw this movie, there was a scene where there's women walking around with no tops on, and bare chested, that is. And I was probably I think because it's rated R. I believe it is rated R. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I was underage, so saw it with my mother, and my sister was there too. My sister was 7 years younger, so I don't think any of us were ready expecting to see that. It was just so. I think it was one of the first rated R movies I ever saw as a kid. So,
Well,
but anyway, this is something I was going to bring up. All right. Well, I guess we can go wrap everything up for this week. Did you want to say anything, Dave, before we wrap everything up?
um, I not that I can think of. We kind of slowly meander our way through a bunch of different topics here, and that's always kind of fun. Um, I guess if anybody has anything they want us to talk about, that would be cool. Let us know. Comment wise, I suppose we can. I'm sure we'll find our way to it eventually.
Yeah, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, I would think that probably the best thing to do for that right now is to, as we move forward, is probably maybe to structure the show into maybe we can talk about if you want to talk about shows. Sometimes we could maybe do a review. So
Yeah,
and that way we have a little bit more focus on what we're talking about. I think
that'd
that
be
would work
cool.
pretty well.
Yeah.
So okay, cool. Well, thanks everybody for participating in our poll, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.